first thing I want to do is I'm going to open up my web browser. You can use whichever web browser you prefer. And then I'm going to go to delmar.edu. So if you don't know the Del Mar website, you can just search for Del Mar in your web browser, Del Mar College, and usually it'll be the first thing that pops up here. So Del Mar College, we click on that, and it brings us to the Del Mar website. You can, if you know the link, you can also just type in delmar.edu here at the top, and that'll be fine. You don't need the HTTPS here at the front. If you just type in delmar.edu, it takes you to this page. Next, we'll click on Canvas here. It's at the top of the page. Here at the very top, we've got a banner with a couple different options. So if we click on Canvas, that'll bring us to this page. And then here, below, directly below that Canvas link, you'll see this Log into Canvas button. So if we click on this Log into Canvas button, it brings us to this page. Now here's an important thing. If you're not already a Del Mar student, you need to be a Del Mar student in order to access Canvas. But maybe you're not a Del Mar student yet and you're looking to become a Del Mar student in the future. Then this will be helpful for you just to know for the future when you do start taking classes. So I'm going to go ahead and start typing in my Del Mar information here. Okay, I'll go ahead and log in. Now, the first thing I'm going to be met here with is the the Canvas dashboard. So the Canvas dashboard is going to be like your home screen. And if I'm not enrolled in multiple classes, but if I was enrolled in multiple classes, you would have those classes written across the across here. So I've got B. Horton Development. Maybe if I had algebra, we'd have algebra here, or literature, we'd have literature here. Then here on the left side, we've got a couple of different options. This is going to be your side panel. On the side panel, this first option here is just the Canvas icon. If we click on that, it brings us back to our dashboard. If we click on the dashboard, that also brings us to the dashboard. It's kind of redundant. And then we've got a couple of other options here. So today we're going to look at the first couple of options all the way down to inbox. We're not going to worry about the other four down there. Now, before we get into how to look at your classes, I want to tell you a little bit about the options. So if we go here to the account button, that's the second one here on the left side, it's going to open up this pop-out menu. Now here in the pop-out menu, we've got a couple of different options, but the one I want to look at is the settings. This is the third option within the account pop-out. If we go in here to settings, we'll have a bunch of different settings we can modify and mess with, but the one I want to point out to you here is if you see here the little user icon. If we click on that, we can upload a picture as our profile picture. That way, maybe if you want to put your face, if the professor asks you to put your face as your profile picture, you can do that. Or maybe if you just want to. It's up to you. Okay. Now I want to go back to the courses. Hello? Okay. So now, if we look at our courses here, I have this B. Horton Development course. This is a course that I developed for the purpose of this demonstration. But in the past, I've had other courses. So here underneath the dashboard option, we have this courses option. If I click on courses, you can see I get another pop-out. It shows my current course, B. Horton Development. If I had other courses like English and math, those would be listed here in the published courses as well. But the one I'm interested in is I want to click on all courses, and this will show me my past courses. So maybe you took a couple of classes last semester. Maybe you're taking Algebra 2 this semester, and you took Algebra 1 last semester, and you want to go back and look at your Algebra 1 notes or your homework assignments. You can go back to your old classes and you can find them there. I'm not going to go into that right now, but just want to let you know that that is an option in case you need to go back and review old material. So I can click on B. Horton Development here, or I can go back to the dashboard and click on B. Horton Development. So let's do that. And I'll be met with a screen like this. Now this is the instructor view. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize those icons there. If I click on here on the student view, this is what it will look like for you as students. The first thing you're going to see is going to be the home screen. The home screen is going to, it depends on the professor. The professor can customize the home screen. In my case, I've put a welcome announcement to the home screen, but maybe your professor wants to put a rolling list of announcements like homework 1 is up or test 2 is live or something of that style. They can put announcements rolling, or they can show the assignments as they come up. So it's really going to be up to the professor, but this is the home splash page for the screen or for the class. The next option we want to look at here is on the left side. Here, we've got a list of class or course sections. So we want to click on each one of these. We're going to go through each of these. The first one we want to look at is the announcements. I mentioned the professor might have announcements for the class, and this is an example of one. So this is like when the professor wants to give you just information about the class. It's not an assignment. So here, I can see a preview of the announcements. So here I can say, hello, I'm introducing myself, and I'm letting the students know that the first assignment's live. But you can see here at the end it cuts off, and you've got the little ... If I click here on where it says first assignment, so the black text, if I click on that, it will give me the full announcement where I can read it here. So I can read the announcement in full, and if I had multiple announcements, they would appear in a list on this page. Next, we want to look at the Assignments tab. So the Assignments tab, the next one down here, this is where your upcoming and previous assignments will be shown. So you can see here we have 2 assignments that are shown, and I want to point out a couple of things here. So Assignment 1, Introduction, you can see underneath Assignment 1, you can see a due date. So it's due August 21st at 11:59 p.m. So that is tomorrow and a minute before midnight. That's usually how professors do their assignments. They want it a minute before midnight, and that's the date. The next thing I want you to notice here is we have a dash out of 10 points. That tells you how many points the homework assignment's worth and how many you've been given. As you can see, finally the last thing here is not yet graded. So this one actually hasn't been graded, so there's no point here, but the one below it has been graded, so we got 15 out of 20 points. Now, let's click on Assignment 1 so you can see what the assignment itself looks like. When we come in here to click on an assignment, similarly to the assignments overview page, each individual assignment is going to give us a summary. It says the due date here, so Friday, and here it'll tell you the day of the week instead of the day of the month because it's this week. And then it'll tell you how many points it's worth and what you need to submit. So sometimes you'll submit just text. You'll just type text into a response. But in this case, and this is going to be the most common case when you're doing online courses, is you'll submit a file upload. Okay. Now, the next thing here is I want you to note the professor can post assignment instructions. So this is telling you introduce yourself with your name and major and what you hope to gain from the course. It's going to be worth 10 points, so this is like a gimme grade, and a lot of the time in online courses you'll get something like this. Next, he says instructions for submission. Your assignment needs to be a docx file. That is a Microsoft Word file. Sometimes professors will also allow PDF files. I just want to make sure you know this whenever you go to submit homework when you're taking online courses. Make sure you submit it in the correct form. If your professor doesn't say, submit it as docx or PDF. If you don't submit it as one of those 2 forms, there's a good chance your professor will take off points. Your professor also might be strict about the way they want their files named. So here, as an example, this is one way you might write your file names. You would write first initial, last name, underscore, HW for homework, and then the homework number. So John Doe would submit their homework as JDoe underscore HW1 for this assignment because it's homework 1. So if I go up here to the top right and I go to resubmit assignment, and it just says resubmit because I've already done this, walked through this example before. But if I go up here to resubmit, I get this little pop-up here. Now this pop-up is, if we see here, it says upload a file. If I go to choose file here, okay, it's going to give me a pop-up where I can choose a file to upload. Now, I didn't format these in the format I just said to use, but I'm going to go ahead and use sample 1 here. So I'll go ahead and open. And whenever I upload it, you'll see the name will fill out there. It'll say sample 1. So it'll fill in. And then also I can leave comments. So maybe this is a math class, and let's say I don't understand problem 1.3. So I can leave a comment here. I can say, I did not understand problem 1.3. Can you please explain it for me? And then when the professor sees that, or maybe they have a teaching assistant that grades their homework, maybe, in either case, when they see that, they can bring it to the professor's attention, or the professor can they can respond in the comment with the solution, they can email you back with the solution, or maybe they'll go over it in class. And then we'll go ahead and submit that. Okay. And now our submission has been, you can see over here on the right side, you have submission, submitted today at 6:15. This lets you know in case your internet goes out while you're trying to submit something. If you don't see the little submitted check mark here, you'll know that there was a problem. Okay. All right. Now, if we go to, I want to go ahead and jump ahead a little bit here to the quizzes tab. I don't have any live quizzes here, and that's fine. Normally, a professor will put quizzes in the same tab as assignments, but sometimes we'll keep it separate. Quizzes work just like assignments. So you would have the same kind of page. The only difference with quizzes and tests is that the professor will set a start date. So the professor might say, the test is live at noon, and then say you need to submit it by 1 p.m. And if you don't submit it by 1 p.m., you'll get an automatic 0. So just know that quizzes and tests work just like assignments, except that they have a start and end time that's going to be a lot narrower of a window, whereas assignments you usually have a couple days. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and skip discussions as well, just real quick to look at the grades tab here. So the grades tab here, this is where we can see all of our grades for all of our assignments in a nice and easy table. So we can see for the first assignment here, assignment 1, introduction. You can see this little paper here that indicates that we don't have a grade yet. That just means that the professor hasn't graded it yet. And here, the next one here, we can see the Raven has already been graded, and we got 15 out of 20 points. And you can see here for the total grade, it's calculated based on all of the assignments that have been submitted that aren't past due date. So if we had another assignment, or if assignment 1 was past due date, we would automatically get a 0, and then we would have 15 out of 30 points. But since assignment 1 isn't due yet, it's just going to calculate based on the assignments that have already been turned in that are not late. One other feature I want to let you know about is if you do leave a comment on your homework and you're looking for feedback, whenever you look at your homework submission, on the right side here you have this little comment bubble. If we click on that, it'll pop up and you can see professor's comments. So here I've responded here. It says, your thesis statement did not match your argument, but the essay was otherwise well developed and organized. So this is just kind of an example of your professor can leave comments on your assignment as well. All right, now let's go back and we'll look at the discussions tab. So the discussions tab, this is where your professor can leave open questions for you to talk about in class. So here, let's look at this. Before we do that, I want you to notice that this is split into 2 sections. We have discussions, and we have closed for comments. So closed for comments, these were discussions that the date for discussion has ended. So you can see that this one was locked at August 13th. Okay. So if I click on this one, I can see the professor asks to use this discussion board to introduce yourself to your classmates, so you can get to know each other online and help each other with classwork if you're doing like group work. So you can see I have no option to leave a comment or anything or leave a reply. If I go back to the discussions homepage here, I can see the discussion for the Raven is still live. So if I click on this one, the professor asks, please post your discussion points for regarding Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, and discussion amongst yourselves the meaning of the poem. So this is pretty typical in college classes, is that your professor might leave a discussion for students to kind of talk amongst themselves to help get the thoughts flowing. Maybe you get stuck. So here, you can see I've already got a couple of replies. So we have students saying it was an interesting read, and then we have another student here saying it's a test message, and we have this one that was a branched reply. So I want to go ahead and mention here, here at the top, we have the reply button. If we click on this reply button, we reply directly to the discussion, directly to the professor. So this is a direct reply. So if I go ahead and post that, we can see now that the text here, and the text here, these are all in line with one another. Whereas with this one, the text is indented, and that's because we're replying to a reply. So these are nested comments or branched replies. So if I click on any one of these, let's go ahead and click on this one, I can say this is a nested or branched reply. I post my reply. We can see here that it's tabbed in. So maybe one of your classmates says something, they ask a question, they're not sure. You can respond directly to your classmate. That way it keeps things organized. Okay. Now the next thing I want to talk about here is we're going to actually leave the course and look back at the side tab here. And we're going to look at the very far left. Underneath courses, we have the calendar button. So if I click on the calendar button here, we can see I have a calendar for the month. And on the far right side, you can see where it says calendars. It says test student and B. Horton development. So B. Horton development, those are items on your calendar that are added automatically by your classes. So again, if I had English, I might have a red box for English, and then I'd have red assignments on my calendar for English. Or if I had math, maybe I have orange, and it populates automatically with your assignment due dates. The test student, and that's the student in this case, can actually manually add events of their own. So here, if we look here, hover over the B. Horton development assignment, you can see the due date for the assignment and the name of the assignment. Whereas with these are ones that I've added myself. So this is, let's say I have an essay that's due at the end of the week, and I want my draft done by Thursday at noon or midnight. So if I go ahead and click on any of these cells here, I can create my own sample. We'll say this is a sample event, and we just want to leave ourselves as a reminder. We want to submit, or we want to create a draft for our essay by this date. Okay, so that's really useful for keeping your thoughts organized on when your assignments are due, or if for larger assignments and projects, when you should set milestones to keep yourself from doing everything at the last minute. Okay, now let's go back to the courses again. So we go back here, I click on courses and then B. Horton development. And next we want to look at the people tab. So the people tab, if I click in here, this will give you a list of all the students in the class as well as the professor or any teaching assistants. So if I were to click on Veronica here, she's here with Veterans Upward Bound. If I click on her here, on the right side we can see the send message button. So if we click on send message, and it's not going to work because I'm using a test student and I'm not actually a student, I'm an instructor for this course. But we would get a page where we can type out like the same kind of text box as the responses or the replies before. You'll be able to type out a message and you'll send that message. You can do that because we're doing online classes. You can send a message to your classmates saying, hey, can you help me out with this? And then whenever you send out one of those messages, they will appear in your inbox, which on the far left side again, underneath calendar, we have the inbox. And again, since I'm on a test student, it's not going to show anything. But this is where your inbox messages would come if somebody sends you a message. Okay. All right. Next, we want to look at the syllabus tab. So the syllabus, this is where the professor will post typically their contact information. So here you can see my office hours, you can see my email, where a phone number to contact. And this is also where you would have, and I just put in some gibberish here, but this is where you would have a course description. This is where you would have how much each assignment's worth. So like the assignments are worth 10% of your grade and each exam's worth 30% of your grade or something like that. You would also have policies, university policies and things of that sort would be listed here on the syllabus as well. Okay. Next, we want to look at the chat tab. So we already looked at quizzes, so we're going to skip that one. Chat here. This is a live chat for your class. And if we go ahead and type a test message, hello world. Okay. Now you can see here on the chat we can also do emojis. So if I click in here in emojis, I guess I'll use a grinning, I'm a happy face. And then I'll send the message. And you can see here we have test student here. Today on the 20th of August at 6:26 p.m. posted hello world. Okay. Now you can see as well we have previous examples when I ran through this before. Different times when test student at different times sent different messages. Now you can see here we have two back-to-back messages without repeating test student. And that's because I put a message in recently enough from the last message, so we can type another one. This is another test. So that kind of keeps things organized. Finally, we're going to look at the conferences tab. So the conferences tab, actually we need to leave the student here, so let's do that. I gotta leave student view for this one. You would be, as a student, you would be able to see this page normally, but once as a student, you can come to the conferences tab and you'll see this page. Hello, Gig Chat. Hello, walls. Okay. Take a drink real quick. Okay, Veronica, if you don't mind, if you could go ahead and start up the conference. And if you don't mind as well, Veronica, if you can unmute yourself so I know that you can hear me.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead and start up the conference and then upload the presentation and then we'll get started with the exam.
I already have the presentation uploaded.
The conference, it's not showing that it's up. I'll go ahead and click on, are you in test conference right now? Okay, I'll go ahead and move forward and then we'll get this figured out. So if I click here on test conference, this will show a conference. It opens up through big blue button. This is similar to Zoom, which we're meeting in now. And this is for video conferencing. So it'll give me here, I'm going to say, okay, I'll join with microphone. And I'll say allow. And it's going to try and connect. And it'll tell me to do an echo test. I'm actually going to say that it does work, but it actually isn't working. And that's because if I did, then I would get echo feedback because of Zoom and big blue button at the same time. So
you are currently the only person in this conference.
Okay. And then once we join in, we'll have an interface that looks something like this. There's Veronica. Great. So hide that. And let me hide this as well. Okay. So here on the bottom of the screen, similar to Zoom, you're going to have a couple of different options. You'll have the mute button. So if I click on mute, we can mute or unmute myself. Since I'm talking to you through Zoom, that's not actually going to work.
You are now unmuted.
The next one here is leave audio. So that would make it so you don't hear the sound. So like you would do this to mute the professor. The next one here is share webcam. We can click on that or unclick it to share or hide our webcam. I'm not going to do that because I'm running through Zoom and it has a conflict if I'm trying to run two different apps through the webcam. And then finally, since I'm an instructor, I can share my screen, but normally I wouldn't be the one sharing the screen. That would be Veronica. So Veronica, if you don't mind, on the actions button here, if you go ahead and click on that plus, and then you want to take presentation. Okay. Then on the left side here, we have the public chat here. This is just like the live chat feature on Canvas, where you can type a message. Hello again, world. And your classmates everybody can post into chat. Next, I want to mention the shared notes tab here. So on the shared notes tab, you can type out notes. So let's say she's going to be uploading here in just a minute. She's going to be uploading my previous financial awareness workshop PowerPoint, I believe. And so let's say we want to know what the 4 pillars of financial awareness are. And we want to list those out. Let's say the first one is going to be banking and so on. So we list out our notes, right? Well, when I type these notes out, the other students will also see these notes. So maybe one of your classmates is a really good note taker and they go through and take really good notes of everything the professor talks about. Well, once you've got all these notes here, what you can do, and this is really nice, right? We've got all these notes. If I click on this little button here, we can export the file as a Word or a PDF file. So if I click, I would recommend using Word because you can still edit it. So if I click on the Microsoft Word option here, it will save the file. And then here in the bottom, if I open it up, we can see our notes have been saved to a Word file that we can then go in and edit. So that's really helpful for note taking when you're doing an online notes. Okay. Veronica, were you able to upload the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, here, actually. It's on my end. Okay. So, presentation is up. Now, whenever a professor is presenting to the class, you would see a presentation like this. Whenever you join the class, typically it'll already be up, so you don't have to worry about troubleshooting all of it. But if you could, Veronica, for me, real quick, advance the slide. So it's just like a PowerPoint, right? And here in the bottom right corner, you have this make presentation full screen button. If I click on that, it's going to make it full screen. So if you're sitting away from your computer, you can make it bigger so you can get a good view of the PowerPoint. Or maybe it's not a PowerPoint, maybe the professor's writing on a tablet or something. Okay. Now here in the top right corner, I click on hide presentation. That's going to make the presentation go away. It'll go into the corner. I'm sorry, I live on a busy street, and people like to drive really loud through our neighborhood. And then on the bottom right corner, if I click on restore presentation, it'll bring it back up. Okay. Now that's all I wanted to talk about today, so I want to go ahead and open it up for questions. We've got just a couple minutes here. It looks like around 5 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and speak up now. Yeah, I'm sorry?
What is that app where it has all the pictures? What's that app?
I'm having trouble hearing you. You're microphone's breaking up pretty bad. You're asking what an app was, but I didn't hear.
Oh, can you hear me? No, I'm asking, there's an app like this, but when you put presentation, I just remember the name of it out there.
PowerPoint?
Yeah, that's right. Is this like you get a PowerPoint presentation?
So this is so your professor can give an online presentation to you. So you would come here and your professor would start up the presentation, and that way they can show you a presentation over the internet.
Okay. It's an excellent class.
Yeah, and usually with online classes it'll be something like this. So this is Big Blue Button, which is through Canvas. What we're doing right now is actually we're in a Zoom meeting, and I can do the same thing through Zoom, or you can do it through Microsoft Teams. Those are the three most popular ways to do online meetings right now. There's Zoom, Teams, and a Big Blue Button.
Okay.
Yep.
CNN uses Cisco.
Cisco?
Something like that.
Well, Cisco's
I
a
see it on the screen.
Cisco's a big technology company, so they probably have some solution like that.